I figured since I've been away for a while, why not announce my presence with authority when I come back this Monday morning, the 21st of July. So I play the song I'm not supposed to play anymore. Okay, they didn't say I couldn't play it. They just thought it might be a little heavy for 9:05 in the a.m. But you know how I love you, my 9 a.m.ers. And listen, if you don't love the song, it's just stopping by for a brief reappearance, the former theme song to the show, as I get back to being a quote-unquote working man, as much as one can work while doing this job. Thanks to Brock for filling in last week while I was away doing absolutely nothing. Well, I mean, I don't know if you've heard about this new reality show called Lamest Vacation Ever, but I'm competing in that. Hence, the way I decided to spend my week last week, which was doing virtually nothing at all. I don't know about you, but I find this whole adulting thing to be a bit of a trap, right? Kids, stay kids. Do not, under any circumstances, grow up. Don't fall for the trap, because there's always stuff and you know, those little nagging chores that you think I'll get to them, but I'm just so busy with work and this and that. So I was doing some choring and I was doing a whole lot of nothing else. Let me see. I caught up with some friends, had a couple of lunch get-togethers. I went golfing. If you like me, if you care about me at all, please don't ever ask me to golf again. I am pretty firm in my I do not golf stance. But in this case, I mean, it's always for a good cause, right? Kids' ability. Next time I'm just cutting the check, okay? But my buddy Craig invites me out and he says, look, Farwell, it's a 9-hole par 3 pitch and putt. It's going to be fun. There's no such thing as fun golf, at least not for me. But I did get out and played a couple of hours up here near work, which was over at the Badlands on Ira Needles. So it felt like I was coming to work. Not only that, I got to whack at a ball and curse for a couple of hours, but all for a good cause. Just please don't take it personally the next time you ask and I say, no, I will not golf with you today, tomorrow, or any day after that. Oh, what an awful, awful game. Just awful, at least for me. I hope you enjoy it if you get out to take advantage of this weather these next many days. Other than that, there was a whole lot of not following any particular schedule and just enjoying quiet time. I heard Brock mention this last week, actually. JOMO, the joy of missing out. I mean, I kept my ears on things as best I could, but for the most part, I just enjoyed being unplugged, disconnected, did a lot of reading, a lot of choring, and just took a break from the regular routine. Great, though, to be back at it today. And probably the very best part of last week. I was really excited about this. It actually happened on the weekend. On Saturday, I was out at the Scotland's Yard ball hockey tournament in support of our Waterloo Regional Health Network, and I met Andrew. And Andrew wanted to come up and say hi, and he even said that I will be listener number 46. Now, you might recall when we started this show, and it's 8 years ago now, I used to make the joke that we've got like 37 listeners or something like that. And slowly but surely we've crept up. And last week I was very excited to reach 45 listeners on the show. And then I met Andrew, who said he listens faithfully every day from 9 until 1. The job that he has does not allow him to call in. That's okay, Andrew. Glad that you're here. Thanks for letting us know that you're with us. And thank you for committing to being listener number 46. I think what we're going to do, we're going to have to do, is put together that definitive list. We know Mary gets status as number 1 on that list. We've got Andrew now at number 46. We just have to fill in the other 44 listeners to have the definitive Mike Farwell Show listenership list. And maybe, just maybe, we can increase the number on that list. Maybe we can reach 100 by the end of not the end of the summer. Maybe by the end of the year, we can get to 100 listeners. What do you think? Preston Paul is one of our listeners. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Mike. Number 45, checking in.
Number 45, checking in, baby. I love it.
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good. First of all, the Rush song, Working Man, back in the 70s, I called into Q107, and that I hadn't managed to get through. I couldn't believe it. And I actually requested that song.
Come on.
I did. Back in late, I was going to say 1979, 1980, in that range. But that was the first song that I ever requested on the radio. And I'd like to give a shout-out to Corey Connors. I know you don't like your golf, but that man shot 5 under par on Saturday and Sunday and finished tied for 10th. So that's good on him, especially coming from Listowel.
Listowel proud. You got it.
Yeah. So you have a great day, Mike.
Thanks, Paul. Great to hear from you this morning. Great shout-out to Corey Connors. And listen, don't take it from me. I'm just complaining because I'm so terrible at the golfing, okay? It is a wonderful game. I really do love everything about it except the way that I play it. And full marks to those of you who are much better at it than me, which is everybody. But yes, Corey Connors gets a shout-out. Preston Paul rings in as listener number 45. Now we have just 43 more listeners to fill in on that 1 through 46 list, the official list of Farwell Show listeners. Your Farwell Show 5 is coming up right after this quick timeout. Stay with us. Good Monday morning from the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It's good to know that when you go away for a minute and you come back, things are exactly the same. Just had an engineer in here trying to change the mic socks. The mic sock is the name we give to this foam thing that goes over top of the microphone. And there are, I think we got 5 microphones in here. I can't even see them all with the size of the monitors. Anyway, he's swapping out the socks, and he was doing that in the midst of the commercial break that we just finished. And then the music started, and I said, Mike, you're going to be in the middle of the main camera if you don't move now. Oh, are we on? Yes. Yes, sir, we are. And we continue with our Monday morning show, but now we continue it with a brand new mic sock. I don't know if that changes anything for you, but gosh darn it, we feel like we're moving up in the world over here. If you were following All News Mornings today, with Christine Clark and Mark Douglas, you would have heard the story as reported by Jamie Pulfer about the missing Canadian girl, a 9-year-old whose father had said she'd been abducted. And now we are learning that she's been found dead in upstate New York, and her father has been arrested in what police are referring to as a homicide investigation. As you heard this morning, if you were listening to All News Mornings, the police had felt there were some inconsistencies with the father's story about the alleged kidnapping, and now the father has been charged with homicide. All right, let's get to your Farwell Show 5 for this Monday morning. We usually do it right at the beginning of the show, but we had to catch up on what we did on our summer vacation. Let's get to that Farwell Show 5, though. Number one person has died following a fire in Cambridge. Fire officials say the adult male died from the injuries he sustained in the fire yesterday morning at a motel on Hespler Road. An adult woman has been treated and released from hospital. The investigation into the cause of the fire continues. Number 2, regional police continue to investigate a stabbing that sent 2 people to hospital. It happened early yesterday morning in uptown Waterloo. Police say the attack was targeted and the search for a suspect continues. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, Cambridge Council will consider taking on debt to build an accessible ball diamond. The report coming to council tomorrow recommends moving forward with the project, even though a $1.5 million grant was denied by the Jays Care Foundation. Building the accessible diamond at Riverside Park, including accessible dugouts, artificial turf, bleachers, and pathways, would cost more than $3 million. Number 4, a 3-day meeting of the country's premiers gets underway today. And the first item on the agenda is discussions with indigenous groups. The premiers are gathering at Deerhurst Resort, and trade and tariffs are expected to be the main topics, particularly when they meet Tuesday with Prime Minister Mark Carney. But first, those premiers are set to have discussions with leaders from the Assembly of First Nations, the Métis National Council, and the Native Women's Association of Canada, among other Indigenous groups. We will hear from the National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations this morning at 10, getting her perspective on a meeting last week with Prime Minister Carney. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, some 55,000 Canada Post workers can begin voting today on the employer's latest contract offer. Their union is urging they reject the proposal, as both sides have been at an impasse for more than a year and a half now. The offer includes wage hikes of about 13% over 4 years and adds part-time workers, Canada Post says, are necessary to keep the postal service afloat. Workers have until the end of the month to vote. And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Monday morning. I got an email from Jen to Mike at 570news.com. Jen says, listener 46 checking in. Jen, I appreciate that. But we've already got a listener 46. It's Andrew. So Mary's number 1. Andrew's 46. Preston Paul called, says he's 45. So listeners 2 through 44 are still available. Jen, can I get you a listener number 44 spot? Would you like to be listener 44? We're going to fill in the definitive list of Farwell Show listeners. Hang on. Den and Randy, very loyal Kitchener watchers and listeners, numbers 19 and 20. I'm telling you, we're putting this list together, and I'm wondering, can we get beyond 46? So we've got 1. It's Mary. We've got 19 and 20. It's Den and Randy. We've got 45. It's Preston Paul. We've got 46. It's Andrew. We'll see if we can get the definitive Farwell Show list of listeners 1 through 46. And maybe, just maybe, by the end of the year, we can more than double that listenership. The list of listeners. Let's see if we can get it to 100. We're going to put that definitive list together for you. It's the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Well, that list is certainly filling up. Mary is number 1. She claimed that spot on our definitive list of listeners some time ago. And I think that's fair. Donna emails Mike at 570news.com, says, could I be number 2? You're darn tootin' you can, Donna. Thank you for claiming that spot on the list. I think it's only fair if we make Paul from Preston, not to be confused with Preston Paul, but Paul from Preston has been calling this radio station since long before I was a host on this show. So I think it's fair that he gets, high billing. So number 3 will go to Paul from Preston. Sue emails Mike at 570news.com. She comes in at number 4. We've got Den at 19, Randy at 20. Clinton has claimed spot number 35. Preston Paul has 45 and Andrew has 46. We're going to fill this list up as fast as we possibly can. Let's go to the phones. They're always open to you on the show. Gary, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good. Welcome back. With my new part-time job in the morning, now I can listen to your show more often than I was able to before and actually call in and stuff. So I love the show. I know we've talked a few times and stuff, but I wouldn't mind taking one of those numbers.
How does 41 suit you, Gary?
41 is beautiful. I love it.
You got it, pal. You're in there.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
Take care. Have a great day.
You too, Gary. Always appreciate hearing from you. Gary has claimed spot number 41. Dave, good morning.
Good morning, Mike, and welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Is 47 available? If not,
well,
Take any number.
Hang on, Dave. Do you think, because Andrew claimed 46 as the newest listener, number 46. Do we have 47? Do you think there are 46 more besides you, Dave?
I'm 47.
All right. But you know what? That's my favorite / lucky number. Did you know that?
No, but it's my lucky number also.
Really? Why is it your lucky number?
That's my birth date.
Ah, okay. Do you want to know why it's mine?
Okay.
When I was a kid, we were up at our cottage in Port Elgin.
Yeah.
And I was playing a game of bingo down on the beach. They used to have a carnival every Friday night.
Right.
And under the G, I believe it would have been 47. That was N47, pardon me. Either way, they called 47, and that was the last number I needed to win the $2 prize in the bingo game for kids.
Wow.
Yeah, I got 200 pennies. They don't even make pennies anymore, Dave.
Hey Mike, quick question.
Yes.
Are you going to let us know what happened to the 2 adult beverages in your station's fridge on your last day?
Dave, I have to be honest with you because it's the only way I know how to be. I came into work this morning. I put my lunch bag in the fridge, and the beers are still there.
You were supposed to take them home.
I know, but they put their names on them, Dave. I feel so much like the Catholic guilt is killing me, but come on. They've been sitting there now for 2 weeks.
Take them home.
Okay. I'm taking them.
Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. If Dave says I can take the beer, surely the statute of limitations has passed. You can't claim a beer with a sticky note for 2 weeks in the radio station workplace refrigerator. It's just not the way that it works. The way this works is your upcoming update from the 570 News Center. And then let's talk about a tuition increase talked about being considered in Ontario. This is the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio. Well, as much as I tried to disconnect while I was away last week, you can only disconnect so much from what's going on in the place that you care so much about. Mainly, of course, here in the region of Waterloo, but we keep up to date with all current events, provincial, national, international, and when a provincial story, the likes of which we're about to talk about, a possible tuition increase coming to Ontario, well, that impacts us here in the region of Waterloo, doesn't it? 2 world-class universities at the University of Waterloo, Wilfrid Laurier University, and, of course, Conestoga College and its expanding empire. That will obviously, if there is to be a tuition increase, have an impact on us here in this community. Richard Southern is our Queen's Park Bureau Chief with News Radio and joins us for a conversation about it. Richard, always good to get your time on the show. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here. How are you? First day back from vacay. I know it's not the easiest.
Can I just let you talk for the next 10 minutes or so? Because I'm foggy. I'm rusty, Richard. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Let's talk about this proposed increase. I know you were on the story when I was listening on Friday morning. What are you hearing about the possibility of tuition increasing here in the province?
Yeah, it sure looks like it could be on the table for, as early as next spring, perhaps, Mike. Of course, you got to look at sort of what's happened over the past 7 years or so on this front. Back in 2019, the Ford government was in power just a year, and it cut tuition 10% and then froze it. And that's where it's been ever since. And the key part of that story was that the Ford government didn't compensate colleges or universities for the revenue loss due to that tuition freeze. The post-secondary institutions, they were able to get along okay, though, thanks to international students who were not subject to that tuition freeze. They were paying significantly higher tuition fees, and that was a system, Mike, that worked until it didn't. As you'll recall, last year the federal government capped the number of international students, and that put a lot of pressure on colleges and universities, including, of course, the ones in Kitchener-Waterloo. They're right across Ontario. These institutions have been cutting programs, cutting staff, warning that without more money, that some 80,000 students won't have a spot in their preferred program. So Toronto Star broke the story. All the credit to the Star. They said that the Ford government is now looking at lifting that tuition freeze that's been in place for 7 years. We don't know by how much tuition fees will go up, Mike. The Ford government did sort of commission a blue ribbon panel on college and universities the other year, and it recommended, this is even before the international students were capped, it recommended that tuition fees go up between 5 and 10%. So perhaps that could be in the offing again as early as next spring.
I've been watching carefully for reaction to this. It's been muted for the most part, but again, this is relatively new information just coming out, as you mentioned, via the Toronto Star on Friday. I did hear the opposition, New Democrats, express some concern, but I guess that's the opposition's role, isn't it, to oppose what the government might do?
To be fair, Mike, I mean, even before this story broke on Friday, the opposition had been talking about post-secondary a lot. It was a little bit of an issue during the February provincial election campaign. I mean, the Green parties, the Liberals, and the NDP, they are calling on the government to increase the funding for colleges and universities, right? I mean, that's the key point here too, is that the government hasn't increased funding for the post-secondary institutions. In fact, it's gone down a little bit over the past few years. So, yeah, I mean, we have heard from the other side of the aisle, and they are saying, we would increase funding by 20% or more. The NDP has said, Mike, that it would reverse as well the cuts to OSAP, the Ontario Student Assistance Plan, and the NDP said it would retroactively wipe out student loan interest and convert loans to grants to enable, it says, more domestic students to enroll in programs. So that's kind of what we're hearing from the opposition is, hey, not so much about we want to see tuition hikes, but why isn't the government funding these institutions better? And I guess that's the question here, right? Should taxpayers, should the government step up and fund these institutions to a greater degree, Mike? Well,
and we know, Richard, that in some parts of the world, there is no such thing as tuition. It's quote unquote free, completely funded by taxpayers. The idea, of course, being that a better educated workforce is better for the economy of the future of that particular nation. And I think what we're getting at here when we have these conversations is there is room to repair within our post-secondary system here in the province.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot more room for the government to fund it, certainly to a greater degree. I don't know if that's something that we're going to see. In fact, it certainly doesn't look like it. I mean, in addition to the potential tuition hike, the Toronto Star reporting that the Ford government is asking colleges and universities to scale back on programs that it doesn't need to, reverse any duplication it sees. So they're looking for them to, sort of tighten their belt a little bit here. So it certainly doesn't look like we're going to see a big increase in more taxpayer dollars going to these institutions.
Interesting times for sure. And as always, Richard, we appreciate your work on the story and the time you made for the show this morning. Thanks for being here.
Good to be back. I'm glad to hear you back, Mike.
Thanks, Richard. Take care.
See ya.
Richard Southern is our Queen's Park bureau chief with News Radio. Joins us to talk about the story that suggests the Ontario government may be considering lifting the tuition freeze. But you heard Richard say right there at the end, and this is always the devil in the details, isn't it? Schools will also be asked to cut costs and eliminate duplication where they can. It's not lost on me that you and I were talking about this maybe a week and a bit ago. From where I'm sitting, the post-secondary sector in this province is at a point, a tipping point, if you will. We got to figure out which way we want to move forward here, because I think it's getting pretty darn expensive for the average family to afford. And at the same time, what's the impact if the average family cannot afford post-secondary tuition? Is there room for schools themselves to move? Some interesting comments made by a professor at the University of Waterloo in this morning's Globe and Mail. I'll share those with you and get your thoughts on post-secondary in Ontario. Is it time to lift the tuition freeze? 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
In addition to the potential tuition hike, Toronto Star reporting that the Ford government is asking colleges and universities to scale back on programs that it doesn't need to, reverse any implication it sees. So they're looking for them to, sort of tighten their belts a little bit here. So it certainly doesn't look like we're going to see a big increase in more taxpayer dollars going to these institutions.
Richard Southern is our Queen's Park Bureau Chief. He joins us to talk about the idea being floated. Is the trial balloon officially in the air? The tuition freeze at Ontario post-secondary institutions could be lifted. We know that the sector itself is in a bit of a... I'm trying to hesitate to use the word crisis because, goodness gracious, it seems like everything's a crisis these days. But certainly... it's at a crossroads because the tuition freeze, which has been in place now for about 7 years, is really putting a funding crunch on post-secondary institutions. And some very interesting comments, I thought, in this morning's Globe and Mail from a professor at the University of Waterloo. I'll get to those in a moment, but I'd love to hear from you on your thoughts about tuition and the freeze being lifted so that tuition rates can increase for domestic students. Let's go to the phones. Doug, good morning.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
If 13's available, I'll take it. It's my lucky number.
Well, you settled for 14, Doug. Because 13, 12 and 13 have already been claimed.
Okay, I'll take 14.
Okay,
then.
Doug, you got 14. Sorry, I can't give you the number you wanted.
That's okay.
Okay.
With all the increases I see in my property tax, being 65 and senior, I wouldn't mind a $50 to $75 increase that went specifically to student education.
Well, and Doug, in this community, I can see why you would think that way. Of course, property taxes do not pay for post-secondary education. That is a provincial responsibility. And of course, we get mixed in with the feds too because of international students, the number of students, the cap now on those visas that are being awarded. It's really getting complicated. But the funding for post-secondary does not come out of your property taxes. Mike, good morning. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Mike. I'm reflecting back to my first 81, sir. I had a $285 at Laurier back in 1981.
Sorry, Mike, you're breaking up terribly on me here.
Okay, I'll call back.
Okay. I'm so thankful, Mike. Something in 1981 was at $285. Listen, I remember. I'm so bad at this, though, because I'm going to say it was per semester, if I remember correctly, mid-90s. Okay, so my university tuition was $1,200 to $1,300 per semester. This was an arts program, not science or engineering at UW. And then my college tuition was about $1,200 for the entire year, if I remember correctly. And that's from early to mid-1990s as I made my way through the local post-secondary institutions. I thought it was really timely and illuminating, quite frankly, to hear from Jeffrey Cosello, who's a professor at the University of Waterloo, in today's Globe and Mail on the op-ed pages under the headline, Ontario Universities Are in a Fiscal Crisis. And I'll read directly from it because I thought this was the most interesting part of what Professor Cosello had to say. And I'm going to try to get him on the show later this week. But I'll read directly from the op-ed. To demonstrate universities' awareness of Ontarians' economic circumstances and to confirm their commitment to education, faculty members should take a pay cut that is indexed to their current earning levels. If faculty members at the University of Waterloo who earn more than the median income in Ontario, about $80,000 a year, had their salary reduced by a scaled percentage based on their current pay, 1% for $100,000, 4% for $400,000, etc., the university would save about $6.5 million. This wouldn't solve the university's budget deficit, but the message to society and to government would be that we are not reaching into the pockets of Ontarians. Instead, we would be sacrificing our own incomes for the good of our students, the province's taxpayers, and Canada's economy. How do you like that? Faculty at the University of Waterloo should take a pay cut indexed to their current earning levels, says one professor at UW as an argument trying to help the post-secondary sector, in this case universities, in their fiscal position right now. We'll take more of your calls right after this on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. To demonstrate universities' awareness of Ontario's economic circumstances and to confirm their commitment to education, faculty members should take a pay cut indexed to their current earning levels, says a professor at the University of Waterloo in today's Globe and Mail, as we continue talking about lifting the tuition freeze in Ontario. Back to the phones. Kathy, good morning.
Hi, I don't know how good my service is going to be now. I called you and I had a lot more bars.
You're sounding okay.
Okay. I love that idea. Love it. I think that should go right over to the hospitals as well. If they start cutting back, we have a lot more money to self-fund units that we're doing. So I think that would be a great idea. I've always wondered why it was so top-heavy salary-wise. Don't get it? But, I mean, I paid $120,000 for my middle child to go to a doctor's degree, and $85,000 for my oldest daughter, and they both went into U.S., so that was U.S. dollars.
$120,000 U.S.
U.S.
Yeah. Kathy?
So, I mean, we could have had another house and been not working probably at this point in our lives, but education was important to us, so we gave up for their education, but not everybody can do that.
No, I hear you. Yeah, and Kathy, I get it too. And here's the thing. Like, that is a tough nut, for sure, and a big one. But what you are demonstrating too, and I don't want this to be overlooked in the conversation, there is value, right? In the post-secondary education. I'll go back to what Richard Southern and I were talking about. There are some parts of this world where tuition is free, as in funded by the rest of us, because the belief is that a well-educated workforce is the better workforce of the future. So it's not so much an expense as an investment, if you'll allow that. I just don't want that to be lost in the conversation. Walter, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I totally agree with that, Professor. And also I agree with that lady's last comment about applying it to the hospitals as well. But, Mike, how many people here out domestically do you think can afford to send their kids to college or universities without having to take out any loans or anything like that? It's probably a very small number.
I would agree. Very small. Yeah.
You're right. And so I just want to also put out there, like the value of like starting an RESP when, in like my case, on the day they're born. So, like come time for post-education, like you have some options. And I think that has helped us, actually have it tremendously. And anywhere that we can save money towards educating our young people, I'm for it. I'm for it, Mike. So that's where I stand on that, my friend.
All right, Walter, appreciate it. And that is some great financial advice, although neither Walter nor I are financial planners or experts, nor can we open for you the RESP account, but an excellent vehicle from day one, from DOB, date of birth, Open that RESP for your kid. Take advantage of the opportunities for growth within that account. And then by the time they turn 18, you've got yourself a pretty good head start on what that university or post-secondary is going to cost. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio.
This is where today's topics turn into today's talking points. It's local and it's Democratic radio at its finest. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
The bill and the law, as it now is enabling legislation. The first thing it enables is consultations about what are we actually talking about when we say nation-building projects. The first part of that engagement is that engagement about the modalities, how this can work, how we work together, what are the priorities. That's before any consultation on any specific project or types of projects, and also before, even if there is a project or when there is projects identified, consultations around the conditions around those projects that must be fulfilled for them to be built.
The Mike Farwell Show continues
on 570 News Radio.
And that, of course, is the voice of Prime Minister Mark Carney. That comment came the day before he was to meet with indigenous leaders from across Canada in Ottawa to talk about Bill C-5, which is going to fast-track nation-building projects, get the critical infrastructure that we need to make more resilient our own economy in this country, so we are less reliant on the United States. Nothing is going to happen overnight, but there does seem to be some urgency, at least with which the Prime Minister and the federal Liberal government right now is moving. The key becomes what these consultations look like with Indigenous communities as we move forward. And if you are to take anything away from that comment you just heard from Prime Minister Carney, there will be what happened last week was a more broad, shall we say, consultation with Indigenous leaders. And as we identify projects that will accelerate nation building here in Canada, there will be further consultations with those communities that would be impacted by those specific nation building projects, right? Think the Ring of Fire, think those transportation links in Canada's northern communities, for example. We are working to make our connection with the National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, Cindy Woodhouse-Nepinak, who was, of course, at those meetings last week with Prime Minister Carney and can bring her perspective through the Assembly of First Nations to us on the show. Because, of course, nothing about us without us comes to mind in all of this for me. And I think how meaningful the consultation ultimately is something that we have to pay very close attention to here. I find myself hopeful at this point. I find myself hopeful because of the urgency that the Prime Minister and this federal government seem to be moving in this direction. But it's easy for me to sit here in my comfortable home in southern Ontario without my community being upended, without and I think it's fair to acknowledge here the distrust that Indigenous communities have in our federal governments because of, and I use plural deliberately, because of course this is a long-standing issue. So you can say one thing, but I think you can understand why Indigenous communities may be quite worried that ultimately you end up doing another. Lip service isn't going to cut it here. So on the road to reconciliation, I'm not sure how many steps down that road we have gone, but in a nutshell, I would say not very many. So you're going to have to overcome that distrust. First and foremost, you're going to have to make sure that these consultations are meaningful because, again, nothing about us without us. If a road or some sort of transportation link, if a pipeline is going to go directly through a First Nations community, then it is going to have to be a project that is agreed upon by all parties involved, including that affected community and all of the environmental issues, the concern for the land that comes up with that proposed nation-building project. I would like to think, and this comes back to why I find myself optimistic right now, again, ahead of these conversations really even happening in any meaningful way. We're still in the summer. Our House of Commons is in recess right now until the fall. So it's not like we're starting to get into the finer points of what these projects look like. These are the very beginnings of consultations or conversations with Indigenous communities. And if you were following the news from those meetings last week, many leaders from Indigenous communities were upset that these meetings were not more public. We knew about the meeting. Prime Minister Carney delivered remarks before the meeting, and then the meeting itself was closed to the public and to the media. So what transpired in between there, we're getting some mixed messages from after the fact. But my optimism stems from what I think is an opportunity here for us all to benefit. If the economy can grow, if the economy can prosper, then I think every person on this land has a chance to benefit from that growth, from these projects. And that, of course, would include our Indigenous communities. But they've got to be on board from the very beginning. And obviously, they have to be on board when it comes to the projects that will directly impact their communities. We are going to continue trying to connect with Cindy Woodhouse-Nepinak, the National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, because I would love to hear from her. But I'm also interested to hear from you on this. Following those meetings that the Prime Minister held, that meeting with a number of Indigenous leaders last week, how optimistic are you? Can we, as a nation, can this Liberal government get these nation-building projects developed, moved forward with the support of the Indigenous communities that they will impact? Is this something borderline, can I call it a miracle? We don't build big things a whole lot these days. We have lost that ability, it seems, over the decades. Can we get it back? And can we do so with the support of our Indigenous communities? I'm optimistic. How are you feeling about it? 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Let me know your thoughts on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Reviews following last week's meeting between Prime Minister Mark Carney and Indigenous leaders were mixed. I think you can probably understand the trepidation that exists with Indigenous leaders when it comes to dealing with our federal governments. And this is a long-standing reservation. And I think it's absolutely fair that the reservation or the trepidation exists. I remain optimistic because what I'm hearing suggests to me that we can all benefit from any prosperity that comes from these projects should they get moving forward. But again, there was some concern raised following the meetings on Friday. We have been unable to connect with our guest from the Assembly of First Nations, which is disappointing to me because who better to hear from, right, than the Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, and hear directly from her about how she would characterize those meetings, et cetera. But would love to hear from you. The best we can do is what we can do from where we are sitting and the perspective that we bring to these ideas that our federal government is moving forward with, fast-tracking nation-building projects, the big infrastructure, and including indigenous communities along the way? Do you have faith that we can pull this stuff off? 519-570-2545. Star 570 or 1-800-570-5715. Let's go to the phones. Lyle, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
So one of the most disgusting things that Canada has done is all the technology we've got, we have not yet been able to provide clean, fresh water to every Indigenous community in Canada.
I could not agree more.
I think the very first nation-building project should be to get that done quickly. And if that is done, I think that will ease a fair amount of the stress for any other projects like building a cross-Canada pipeline or power transmission lines, whatever else may be involved. But if you don't get the water situation resolved, I think that is a major roadblock.
Lyle,
my comment.
No, and I appreciate that because I've given this, I've thought of the exact same thing, and I wondered this. What if this consultation led to an understanding or an agreement that, okay, this pipeline, this transportation link is coming through your community, but as we do that, we're also going to do the whole clean drinking water thing? Like, could we do them at the same time?
I think that's too late. I think you need to address the drinking water, bathing water, water supply system first and foremost as the major nation-building project. And it should be orchestrated as such, that this is a nation-building project. I mean, we can provide a skid-mounted system to provide clean drinking water to people who've suffered from a tsunami or earthquake, whatever else, fly it in and have clean drinking water within 24 hours. And we haven't been able to solve a drinking water problem on native lands for over 40 years. It's ridiculous. I am a chemical engineer. I understand the process.
It's very well said, Lyle. I appreciate the call. Thanks for weighing in today.
Bye-bye.
Good to hear from you. As I said, I thought the very same thing when it comes to clean drinking water to these reserves. Something, by the way, that was promised by our previous prime minister, that every First Nations community would have clean drinking water. And along the way, I think there was one for sure. There might have been two updates to that promise saying, yes, we're still going to do it. And then ultimately, it was acknowledged that, yeah, this is not happening. And I'm with Lyle. To me, it seems incredibly simple, given what we know today. Now, I thought when I gave this some consideration that maybe we could do things simultaneously. We could walk and we could chew gum. But I hear where Lyle is coming from, and I think he makes a fair point. Let's do this first to demonstrate our commitment. The very first nation-building project should be clean drinking water to all of our First Nations communities. That is not a bad idea at all. Of course, that's going to slow down those pipelines and those transportation links and all of that economic opportunity we want to unlock. But how can we justifiably say we deserve that economic opportunity when these communities have been without clean drinking water for decades? It's a very fair question to ask. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, I'm just back. This is day one back in the chair after a most relaxing week away. But you're not going to believe, like, you are not going to believe where I was passed this past week, where somebody in another vehicle passed my vehicle while driving. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it myself, but I'll tell you what, this other driver is going straight to jackwagon jail. I'll tell you the story coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Just ahead of my latest story about the newest resident of Jackwagon Jail. You're not going to believe where this guy passed me. Let's get back to the phones. Love to hear from you on the show. Curtis, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
first off, I will take a number, but first off, I would like to speak on, I think it was Lyle, the mechanical engineer, and I'm in complete agreement with the indigenous, clean water. I do disagree with it being, well, if we do this, then, it sounded more like an ultimatum. If we say, well, we'll do this at the same time as put a pipeline through. Like you said, I think that time is long gone to negotiate. It just needs to get done. They've promised it more than once, and I think it needs to get done regardless. That'd be excellent for building relationships, in my opinion.
Yep, I think it's a great point. And that was Lyle's point. I wondered if we could do the same. I wondered if we could do both at the same time. But you and Lyle seem to think, no, get the, as a gesture of good faith, let's call it, get the clean water there first.
Right. I mean, they've said it so many times, and over the last 10 years, it could have been being done, and it wasn't. It was promised, and it was checked up on, and it's still not. I'm so disgusted how I lived on the reserve with my ex-wife. She was Native, and I know all the politics in there, and it's disgusting. Even their own self-government isn't much better than the federal government, to be honest, in most cases, but it's time to treat them good and give them what they deserve like any other human being. It's as simple as that,
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Right. And if you have number 15, if you don't mind, I would take 15. That's my son's age.
I'm sorry, 15 has been claimed, Curtis. Would you like 16?
Sure.
Because, your son will be 16 at some point.
Yeah, next March. Yeah.
Okay. 16 it
All
is.
right, nice talking to you. Thank you.
You too, Curtis. Thanks very much. I started the show today by sharing with you the story of meeting Andrew on the weekend at the Scotland's Yard ball hockey tournament. Great job, by the way, by all involved. They've now raised $1 million in 4 years for our Waterloo Regional Health Network. Incredible stuff. It was a great day up here at the boardwalk. And Andrew came up and introduced himself. And I could tell he wasn't pulling my leg when he said he listens every day, 9 till 1. He's not able to call in because of the nature of his job, but is with us every day, loves the show. And last week, or the week before I went away, I was, talking about the fact that we had reached 45 listeners on the show, which I was so excited. And he said, you can count me as number 46. So I thought, you know what we need to do? We need to put together our definitive list. So if you are one of the loyal listeners to this show, first and foremost, thank you so very much for that. Really appreciate it. And we're going to, Curtis just claimed number 16. We want to claim numbers 1 through, in fact, Dave put himself down as 47. So can we actually reach 47 listeners? My hope is that we can actually more than double that number and get to 100 by the end of the year. But let's just start with the definitive 47, and Curtis just claimed number 16. If you want to claim one of the numbers on our definitive list of Farwell Show listeners, you are welcome to do so. Drop me an email or let us know the number when you call in, and we'll put your spot on the list. I got to get you to the news center for an update, so forgive me. In the next 30 minutes, I promise, I'll tell you where this guy, I'm still blown away. He passed me where while we were driving? I'll tell you. Before 11 o'clock, I promise. Right now to the 570 News Center we go, and then a little taste of Newfoundland right here in Cambridge. This is the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio. If you're looking for a little taste of Newfoundland, you can find it right here in Cambridge. Off the Rock has just opened, and its owner, Eric Hutchings, joins us on the show to talk about it. Eric, good morning.
Good morning.
Where did the idea of Off the Rock come from?
Well, to be honest with you, we used to have a little store and restaurant here in Cambridge called Stoyles, and it's been gone for a few years now. And I guess like many others, I was tired of leaving Cambridge and driving out of town to get the products that I love from my hometown. So, I got stuck in traffic, and I decided, many people must be going through this, and, why don't we have one yet? So I decided to give it a go.
How far did you have to travel to get these items that you like so much?
Well, sometimes like 40, 50 minutes, and sometimes longer. I guess it depends on the traffic all the time, too. Because, I mean, you look at your GPS and it tells you, 20 minutes or 40 minutes, and then, the 401 shuts down or whatever the case may be, and you're there for an hour and a half. And, sometimes it's just tiring. But there are places that are closer. It's just some of them don't have the same products, right?
You mentioned getting that taste of home, Eric, the things that you enjoyed back home. Where is home for you?
Home for me, and it always will be, I guess, is Belle Island, Newfoundland. But a lot of the products are, from St. John's, Mount Pearl area, even like some other small towns around the bay somewhere. So, all the good products that I grew up with, I imagine many others feel the same way about getting their products easily at one place.
So where can we find Off the Rock?
Off the Rock is located at 12 Oxford Street, Unit B in Cambridge.
Oxford Street, 12 Oxford Street, Unit B in Cambridge. And what are we going to find there?
You'll find all your typical purity products, sweets, treats, all your crushes from home like pineapple, cream sodas, lime, birch beer. Pretty soon we'll have fresh puddings, fresh fish, and eventually we'll be getting into the restaurant, which will be fish, chips, dressing, gravy.
That sounds like typical Newfoundland fare.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
What has the response been like since you opened your doors last week, Eric?
Overwhelming, sir. Oh, just full of positive vibes. And it's been a busy week. It's hectic. I'm selling out of almost everything. So, it's because it's new, I guess. But every day there's people coming here, and they're so happy that finally Cambridge has another Newfoundland store that we can just go visit that's right around the corner. Finally that I can get what I need, today instead of waiting until I'm ready to make the drive,
Well, and you'll have to forgive me, Eric, because I'm born and raised in Kitchener, and I always understood that Cambridge had two kinds of people primarily who had immigrated there, Portuguese and Newfoundlanders.
Correct. That's my understanding as well.
Okay, so you've got a pretty good then audience there of former Newfoundlanders now living in Cambridge.
I do, yes. I'd imagine there's amongst thousands of Newfoundlanders here still, and their families have grown since they've moved here. And, it's not just like the seniors and last generation people from Newfoundland. We're getting all their families and younger crowds that are, my family's from Newfoundland, but I was born here, So it's good to see, like, so many people that still say, I'm Newfie, even though I was born and raised in Cambridge. They're still following that tradition of going to a Newfoundland store and, eating the products that their parents and their grandparents grew up with.
Is it difficult at all to source the products, to get the inventory into your store?
Right now it's a bit difficult until I, get a regular sourcing. And, I am traveling to Newfoundland soon, so I will be sourcing some of these products direct if I can. Finding multiple suppliers so that I try never to be short. Right now I am short because everything's just selling out so fast as I get it in. But I'm hoping to get more regular stock in and more of it in the coming weeks, months maybe. And then, like I said, in the new year, we'll be starting off with the restaurants. So, I anticipate that I'm going to be fairly busy because I just can't stop hearing from people how excited they are to get the fish and chips going.
Are you surprised at all by this response? You described it as overwhelming. Does that surprise you?
Well, I mean, I never expected to see like hundreds of people in one day. I didn't think that the word was going to spread so fast. But then, many media outlets have contacted me and wanting to do interviews like yourself. And I think that's part of the response now is that people are starting to see like where it's at and hear about it more often because not everybody watches the same station or hears the same radio station, but now it's on multiple outlets. Everybody's starting to hear about it. And then, every day I'm getting hundreds of customers, and it's not that it's overwhelming for me. It's just, it's an overwhelming response of positiveness I'm getting. And it's just great. It's been great so far. And I love seeing, how happy people are.
Does it make you feel closer to home?
It does.
Yeah.
It honestly does. Like, I see a lot of people, some I know, some I don't. All week I've been finding out that I've had family up here all along that I never knew growing up. And, and I've seen people like meeting each other for the first time since high school, and now they're in their 80s. And they just sit there and they talk, and it's so nice to see, right?
Sounds like a very Belle Island thing to do.
Yeah, it's not just a store. I mean, I've seen it where people just come and they gather and they talk, and it's just like part of a small community. It's just a place where they bump into each other, and it's just nice to see.
I think it's a great story. I first read about it online, and I'm glad we were able to get you onto the show today to talk about it. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to stopping by Off the Rock.
I appreciate it, man. I really do. And, it's not just for Newfoundlanders, as I say. It's for all East Coasters and anyone that's welcome. I mean, even like people from Ontario, you don't have to be from Newfoundland to shop here. You don't have to be from Newfoundland to come and try our products. And, if you've never tried something, and if I'm here, let me know. I will open it up and gladly let you try it.
What would you recommend I try if I've never tried anything before? What would be the signature product for me to try?
Well, to be honest with you, my biggest seller for all week, and I cannot keep it on the shelf, but if I have it here, it would be the Nacho Cheetos. Those are fantastic. The Pineapple Crush, also fantastic.
Pineapple Crush and Nacho Cheetos. It sounds perfect. I'm looking forward to trying it. Eric, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it so much.
All right. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.
You as well. Bye.
Eric Hutchings is the owner of Off the Rock. You'll find him at 12 Oxford Street in Galt. I first read about it online. And then I think I saw CTV Kitchener get over there and do a story about it. And it just, you can tell from, at least I feel like I can, from Eric's voice, what this place means to him and what this place means to other, you call them expats, but other former Newfoundlanders. I was once told, and I have good friends, and I affectionately refer to them as Newfies, but I was told once we're not supposed to say that. I heard Eric drop it, but I think he's allowed to. Anyway, I'm not trying to get into any trouble or create any waves here. I think it's a great story. I love to hear about a passion for one's hometown brought to their adopted hometown and the incredible success that this has been in the early days, which is fantastic to see because you want a little taste of home. So it's Nacho Cheetos and Pineapple Crush, which leads to the question I wanted to ask you. Maybe you are from Newfoundland or somewhere else on the East Coast. Maybe you're from somewhere else entirely. So if you were to have a taste of home, your home, what would that taste of home be? And a shout out to all my friends from that part of the world who like this stuff called Marmite. I've heard about it. I haven't yet had the courage to try it myself, but hey, maybe it's your thing. If you were having a taste from home, what would that taste be? 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. I'll try some Nacho Cheetos and Pineapple Crush. What about your taste of home? Tell us what it is on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Home for me, and it always will be, I guess, is Belle Island, Newfoundland. But a lot of the products are from St. John's, Mount Pearl area, even like some other small towns around the bay somewhere. So all the good products that I grew up with, I imagine many others feel the same way about getting their products easily at one place.
That is Eric Hutchings, whose place now is that place to get your favorite products from back home, if back home is Newfoundland or anywhere else in Atlantic Canada. And heck, even if that's not home, maybe you want to stop by Off the Rock on Oxford Street in the Galt area of Cambridge and introduce yourself to some of those products from back home for somebody like Eric. Nacho Cheetos and Pineapple Crush, the biggest, most popular sellers in the early days. It's only been about a week since Off the Rock opened, but it just made me think. I love to see folks do this, right? From their hometown, which for Erica, as you just heard, was Belle Island, to their adopted hometown, and now bringing a taste of that hometown to their new hometown. What would your taste of home be from wherever it is you are from? 1-800-570-2545, star 570, or 1-800-570-5715. Gary, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Love that story, and I definitely need to go check out that store. I used to live in Halifax way back in the day, and then spent some time in Corner Brook, Newfoundland. So, being in Guelph, definitely love to go check out that place. Such a great story. But my taste of home, me being Scottish, would be good old Scotch pie with some beans and HP sauce.
There you go. If it's not Scottish, it's crap.
That's right. And exactly. And every Christmas, I go to a place over in it's Cambridge, the British Pride, or one of the Scottish shops. And for Christmas, usually, the big Scottish breakfast in the morning is the potato scones, square sausage, blood pudding, baked beans, fried tomatoes, and just good old HP sauce. And my wife looks at me and she thinks I'm crazy watching me eat it, but I just love it. Just love it.
I love it, Gary. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it.
No worries, Mike. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. I've had the opportunity to enjoy that very Christmas breakfast on Christmas morning with friends in the past. That Scottish Christmas breakfast. Fantastic stuff. I love to hear it. I was thinking what the taste of home would be for me. And as a boy with some German history in him, schnitzel, sauerkraut, which I managed, by the way, to get twice last week. And if I'm not giving away too much of the secret, it's got to be one of the best kept, though, isn't it? Going to dine at the Concordia Club? Come on with your coming on with that restaurant in there. My goodness gracious. So there and the Metro were the places I was able to get some schnitzel and sauerkraut. Although I'm, third generation removed? When I think about those tastes of home, my great-grandmother, and then my mom carried it on. So my mom's grandmom would make this noodle soup with a thicker, I think it was an egg noodle. I don't know. And it was so simple, but then you'd, salt it up to taste, which for me was quite a bit of salt and some pepper in there. But I just loved the thick noodle in this soup broth that my great-grandmother, Schultz, would make. And also, another recipe that my mom carried on in the family was these oatmeal cookies, which were just forget about the dad's cookies that you can buy in the store. Forget about it. Our oatmeal cookie experience as kids was dramatically different with whatever recipe it was that my great-grandmother had, passed down to my mother, who continued, to this day, she'll make them for us. Incredible. So for me, it would be the noodle soup and the oatmeal cookies. The old will always take me back to being a wee lad going to great-grandma's place at lunch from Sacred Heart Elementary School. How about that back in the day? All right. We're going to take a break. I promised I would tell you before 11. I'm sorry I didn't get the chance before because I ended up going to the phone lines instead. I promise this time I will deliver to you the story of the newest prisoner in Jack Wagon Jail, because you're not going to believe where this guy in this car passed me in my car. The story coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. I promise. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. One of the other things I happened to do last week while away was pop by the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. And I want to give a quick shout out to the Woodhouse Group. That's the group leading the renovation that's happening at the Aud over this off season. Particularly Jay and Dave, couple of beauties who took the time to show me through the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium and the renovations that are underway, from everything going on in the training area and the dressing room for the players to the offices for the staff. And anyway, it was just great. And they have such care for the project. You could tell the attention to detail. I was really impressed by it. And, oh yeah, by the way, they made a $1,500 donation, Woodhouse Group did, to Farwell for Hire. I know that the campaign officially ended in very early June, but if you want to say, hey, we've got a check for you because we like what you're doing, I'm more than happy to stop by and pick that up. So thank you to the Woodhouse Group for that support. We love it. We appreciate it. And what a bonus to get to go through that space that is under renovation at the Memorial Auditorium. So if you know the Odd Complex at all, you know that there are some newer redesigned speed bumps in there. And these speed bumps are doozies. Like, I promise you, from having driven them a number of times, if you go more than 15 kilometers per hour over these things, you're shaking fillings out of your teeth. I promise you that. So here I am, and I will preface this story by acknowledging that I drive as slow as molasses at the best of times now. I'm just like, I'm not in a hurry to get anywhere. I'm cruising around just enjoying the view. I really am. Speed camera or no speed camera, I'm chill. So there I am. I'll say I'm in the back of the Odd. So between the hockey arena and where Centennial Stadium used to be, in and around Jack Couch Park, two of those nasty speed bumps there. Take them faster than 15, you're going to feel it. So I go over the first one. And even as I'm approaching it, I know what I'm doing. I'm slowing down. I'm chill. And I see, as I go over that first speed bump, a vehicle behind me dart out my driver's side mirror and cut nearer to the building where the hockey arenas are. Do you know where, like, there's an open space there, not really parking spaces, although it's used for parking spaces, some big dumpsters and, access to the building, but no official parking. But I thought, is this guy doing what I think he's doing? And sure enough, before I could get to the next speed bump, because I'm just chill, I'm driving along like 15, this guy went through that area and cut back out the parking lot opening to get in front of me before the next speed bump. Like, that's where he decided to pass me, in a parking lot between speed bumps. And then, boy, I saw him hit that next speed bump, and I know he regretted his choice, but it didn't stop him. Booted on out of that parking lot, and off he was like a fart in the wind. I'm like, really? That's where you decide to pass somebody. So you, sir, whose driving I hate, are the newest entrant into jackwagon jail. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. Goodness, the sounds of Jim Croce starting off this week in music history. Every Monday morning at this time, our good friend and musicologist Brian Allison joins us for this trip down a musical memory lane. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page of the same name, This Week in Music History. Get these tidbits and even more. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, Mike. How was your holiday?
My holiday was so relaxing. So relaxing, I had to come back to work. I got to do something, You
had to shake it up a little.
I did have to shake it up a little. Let's start back on this week in 2020, not all that long ago, and the auction items that ended up not being auctioned off. But this stuff is bizarre, if not morbid, if you ask me.
Morbid's the word that came to mind for me, too. So it's July 23rd, 2020. And up for auction went some surgical instruments allegedly used to conduct the autopsy of Elvis Presley. Somebody put them up, some forceps, some needle injectors, rubber gloves, and a toe tag were among the items that were expected to fetch around $14,000 by the auctioneer, who was Leslie Hindman out of Chicago. So this so-called memorabilia was supposedly kept by a senior embalmer at the Memphis Funeral Home, where Elvis's body was stored prior to his funeral. But the claims were questioned after another employee revealed that the equipment was sterilized and then used again for other autopsies. So these were generic instruments. and I think somebody was trying to make a huge cash grab off of this. But my question right away was like, who would want such memorabilia? I mean, it just seems perverse almost.
No, I'm with you, but it just goes to show you, right? Like, for everybody, there's like somebody's going to want it. There are 8 billion people on the planet. You'll find somebody to pay you $10,000 for it.
What do you do with something like that? Like, I can get if you've got an autographed photo, or you've got a guitar pick or a drumstick or something from a show, but you've got Elvis's, surgical instruments from his autopsy. Like, it just, I don't know. It seems like a very strange thing, but I think you're right. There's a market out there for everything as long as you can find the right person.
Certainly would be. All right, on This Week in 1980, one of my favorite albums of all time. It's in my personal top 10 for whatever that's worth, but Back in Black gets released.
Well, your favorite and many, many, many other people on the planet, clearly. Yeah, July 25th, 1980. So this was AC/DC's sixth internationally released studio album, Back in Black. It was a tribute to their former lead singer, Bon Scott, who had died on the 19th of February, 1980. They had questioned whether they were going to go on as a band, but once they had the blessing of Bon's family, who said that he would want AC/DC to continue, they recruited Brian Johnson, and the rest is history. This album was recorded in mid-1980 and was released on July 25th, and it just took off. I mean, right from the start, it was an incredible album. People loved it, and it went on to sell 49 million copies worldwide to date. So that makes it the second highest selling album of all time, and without a doubt the best-selling hard rock or heavy metal album. I don't know if I put AC/DC in the heavy metal category. That's a debate we could maybe have another time, but certainly a hard rock album. The best-selling hard rock album of all time, hands down.
It's funny, is AC/DC in the heavy metal category? It's so subjective. I remember a friend's father when I was a teenager, and I was into classic rock. So, Floyd, The Who, Rush, obviously, and he called that heavy metal. So it's all a matter of perspective, I think.
Well, there's a great story from the 80s when the Grammy for Best Metal Performance, rather than going to Metallica for one, which is largely regarded as one of the best heavy metal songs of all time, it went to Jethro Tull, who was a band who incorporated flutes into their music. So everyone's definition of heavy metal is a little bit different, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, this is a fun one from 1982. And, when I was off last week, the movie from which this song comes was on TV, and I watched it for a bit. It's not my favorite of the Rocky franchise, but Survivor makes a note this week in 1982.
Yep, July 24th, 1982, Survivor started a 6-week run at number one on the U.S. singles charts with Eye of the Tiger, taken from the film Rocky III, which was, of course, the latest installation into the Rocky family of movies. Also went to number one in the U.K., and Survivor won the Grammy Award for Best Rock Performance for this song. So it was a pretty big song. People, it made an impact. I have fond memories of lying awake in bed at night with my cassette recorder on my bedside table, trying to capture Eye of the Tiger to record it from the radio without the DJ talking over the introductory guitar part. And the DJ would always talk right up until the singing started. So you're just hoping that he would, not be talking and you could get the whole song.
We call that hitting the post, Brian. We in the radio business, we're so proud of ourselves for doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it was the days of the only way you could get music if you didn't have any money as a, 12-year-old, as I was in 1982, you hated that DJ. Like, stop talking. I want to hear the song.
I felt the same way.
My question was, is Eye of the Tiger the greatest sports-themed song in the history of popular music?
See, and you really got me thinking on that because, sports theme song. Would the soundtrack or the theme song to Chariots of Fire count? Because that's pretty classic stuff.
I was thinking more, I guess, about I probably should have qualified that and said sports themes in a movie.
Yeah,
so
okay.
This is one of those songs that, it defined that movie, Rocky III. It was just everybody remembers Rocky III, a lot of reasons, because of Eye of the Tiger. It was such a strong song, and it defined, the attitude of the movie and what the character was trying to achieve, and getting back the Eye of the Tiger. So, yeah, I think it's definitely up there. It's got its place in history for sure.
Fogerty's Center Field made it into Bull Durham. Bob Dylan's The Hurricane made it into the movie with Denzel Washington, The Hurricane, which I really enjoyed, and the song was terrific. But you might be right about the Survivor song for sure.
Well, and they put, Wild Thing ended up in Major League,
sure,
which, sort of resuscitated that song again, too. So there's quite a few of them out there.
Always a good conversation. Brian Allison joins us every Monday morning at 11 to talk about this week in music history. You'll find out why we chose Bad Bad Leroy Brown to start the segment this week. And the Rolling Stones did what? Where? It's all coming up as we continue this week in music history with Brian Allison here on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Monday mornings, 11 o'clock, we're joined by Brian Allison, musicologist, for This Week in Music History. Don't forget the Facebook page of the same name. This Week in Music History, you'll enjoy the weekly trip down a musical memory lane. Brian, we got to go back to 1965, and members of the Stones did what, and they did it where?
I find this a comical story, not because of what they did, but just because of the charge that they were levied. So it's
for the record, I'm on Team Rolling Stones here.
I am too.
Okay.
I'm going to side with the Stones on this one, and not just because they're the Stones. So 1965, the Stones are on tour in some godforsaken part of England, and Mick Jagger, Brian Jones, and Bill Wyman, three members, they have to relieve themselves. So they stop at a service station in the middle of nowhere, and they ask the gas station attendant, can we use the facilities? He says, no, you can't. So they proceed to urinate on a wall against the service station. He called the police. He reported their license. The police arrested them and charged them with insulting behavior. And they had to appear in East Ham Magistrate Court in London. They were each fined £5 for that digression. But I just found it funny. Insulting behavior? Like peeing on a wall is insulting behavior? I don't know. I would have said lewd behavior, urination in public. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have those charges back in the 60s.
The insulting behavior is the service station attendant for not letting them use the toilet.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going, let the guys use the bathroom. And it's the Rolling Stones. I mean, it's 1965. The Stones were, starting to become well-known at that point.
Sure.
You would think they would have said, hey, Mick Jagger, want to use my bathroom? Sure.
Absolutely. If he was thinking ahead, he could have saved the toilet seat and put it up on eBay decades later.
100%.
All right. We started the segment this morning with Bad Bad Leroy Brown. And, I mean, it's a mixed bag in this story, This Week in Music History.
Well, I mean, the happy part of it is that it was 1973, July 21st, today, that Jim Croce scored his first of two U.S. chart toppers with the song that you played, Bad Bad Leroy Brown. That was the first hit to break through. But this is just a sad story overall. 3 months later, actually 2 months later, in September of 1973, Jim would perish in a terrible plane crash. And he had just sort of hit fame. After he passed away, they released the song Time in a Bottle, which became his, another number one hit on the Billboard 100. But the whole story was just tragic. Jim was a very reluctant superstar, if you want to call him that. He had sort of almost been pushed into the spotlight to perform. But he did it because he loved songwriting and he loved people and he loved music. But he had decided, he was on tour at the time of his death in 1973, and he had decided, after this tour, I'm going to take some time off. He was married. He had a brand new son, AJ, who's now a recording artist, who was only a year and a half old. And he had written a letter to his wife and said, Ingrid, at the end of this tour, I'm going to take a few years off. I'm going to be a dad. I'm going to be a husband. I'm coming home. I'm tired of this. I need a break from it. And terribly and tragically, Ingrid received that letter posthumously after the plane crash. It arrived to say, I'm coming home, I'm retiring, and Jim had already passed away in the plane crash. So it's a really, really, really sad story. And he left a great body of work. I mean, you pick up a copy of any Jim Croce album, great songs.
And along those same lines, we also mourn a loss on This Week in Music History back to 2017.
Yeah, this was a shocking one for sure. Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park passed away on July 20th, 2017, and even more shocking was that he had taken his own life at 41. Double Grammy-winning band. Of course, Lincoln Park was a massive band in the mid-part of the 2000s. Chester Bennington just had a powerhouse of a voice. I mean, when you listen back to songs like In the End and Numb and What I've Done, wow, what a voice. Like, that guy could really belt one out. So it was a sad day to lose Chester, and we still mourn that loss today.
On a lighter and higher note, how about in This Week in 1987 and Peter Gabriel with a hit we all remember for sure?
Gotta love Sledgehammer. And I was talking about this with Brock last week, because last week the story was that Peter Gabriel's former band, Genesis, hit number one the week of July the 19th in the U.S. for the very first time with the song Invisible Touch. Went to number one. I mean, Genesis had been around since the late 60s. Finally, by the mid-80s, they get a number one hit. It lasted as number one for 1 week. Who knocked it off the charts? Their former bandmate, Peter Gabriel, with Sledgehammer, knocked them off the charts, and Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer went to number one. So that was a massive song. I mean, the video for it was all over MTV and Much Music, won all kinds of awards, and took video making to a new level as well. And as of 2011, Sledgehammer is still the most played music video in the history of MTV. It was played the most times of any other video.
And just before I let you go, I don't know if at his age he's still peeing on the walls of gas stations, but gosh, I hope he is.
Well, I like to hope that if Mick does stop into a gas station nowadays to pee, that they're going to let him use the facilities. But Mick, on July 26th this week, Mick will turn 82 years old. Phenomenal that he's still around. Even more phenomenal that the Stones are still touring with Mick at 82 years old and still dancing and sounding fantastic. What an amazing life.
It certainly has been. We will watch for that on July the 26th when Mick Jagger turns 82. As always, Brian, appreciate the time and the trip down memory lane with some music history. Thanks for being here.
Great talking to you, Mike.
Brian Allison is our musicologist with This Week in Music History every Monday morning at 11. And do check out the Facebook page of the same name, This Week in Music History. We will fill your ears every Monday morning at 11 here on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Just a few minutes away from 11:30, your update in the 570 News Center. Let's get back to the phones. Ian is with us. Good morning, Ian.
Hey, good morning, Mike. Nice to have you back on air again. I'm just sort of giving a heads up. We got the Wayback Festival happening this weekend, and my band Always on Friday is opening for Big Wreck, which we're really excited about. And the other thing, you being a Rush fan, August 1st and August 2nd, and those are key dates, August 1st, Rush Fest Canada is happening at Massey Hall August 1st. Mike, I would like to personally send you out an invite to this. Moving Pictures, which is the top UK tribute band, are phenomenal. And I'm actually playing in a Rush All-Stars band on August 2nd for this. So anyway, just take notes for what's coming up, and any Rush fans who want to come check this out, it's a lot of fun. And this weekend in Kitchener is going to be great as well.
All right, Ian, your phone's starting to break up there, but I think I picked up most of it. So Rush Fest Canada, August 1st and 2nd, and Moving Pictures, a UK tribute band, will be playing Massey Hall, but more to the point and closer to home, the Wayback Festival in downtown Kitchener this weekend. I believe, forgive me if I get it right, I think it's Saturday. I don't think it's both Friday and Saturday. If it is, forgive me, but it's this weekend in downtown Kitchener. I will double check. I'm just going off the top of my head, but I know it's coming up. And how about just a little shout out to the folks at the City of Kitchener and the effort they've been putting into planning all of the activity for the downtown through this summer. Blues Fest is coming up. There was a Rib Fest and Craft Beer Show. They had great Canada Day programming. And I know it's going on. Look, Jazz Fest was in Waterloo. Cambridge has a great Canada Day parade. I know they've got a Rib Fest coming back to Riverside Park at some point this summer. They're all doing it, but since we were talking about Kitchener, it's been a great summer so far of programming to be continued with the Wayback Festival coming up this weekend. So keep it up. We love to be outdoors in the summertime because goodness knows we can't get outdoors in the winter. It's harder. It's harder to get outdoors in the winter. All right, your update from the 570 News Center coming up, and then Drewe's Views as David Drewe will join me in studio on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Has anybody heard from Crazy Dave? Has anybody heard from Crazy Dave? Has anybody heard from Crazy Dave? Now that cat couldn't spell to win a bet, but he carried this battered notebook full of his poetry. More soul per square word than the Lord's Prayer. He was the kind of guy that called a spade a shovel, and a violin a fiddle, and a lady ma'am. And I don't even know why I think of him now. Maybe because he never told me a lie he'd have to apologize for later. Because he'd speak to a guy straight, eyeball to bloodshot eyeball, like he'd never even had a secret.
Has anybody heard from Crazy Dave? I mean, I would like to hear from Crazy Dave, but for what might be the first time in the history of the Drewe's Views weekly segment here on the show, David Drewe is not yet in studio. So it's very difficult for us to get his views while he is not here to share them with us. I know that David is en route. David is good people. David will drive safely and obey all traffic laws on his way to the radio station. In the meantime, we will take care of a little bit of business. One of those things that we will take care of is connected to what I just said, that David will definitely obey all traffic laws on the way here. The number of emails that I received even whilst away last week. And listen, I wasn't checking regularly, but I kept up with as much as I could. And the number of emails I received about the feeling of being hard done by, wronged by our speed cameras with the tickets that were issued at the times of day or days of week they were issued. I'm telling you, we've got to fix this. Dear Region of Waterloo, stop it, and stop it now. No more of this 24/7, 365 days a year enforcement of ridiculous 30 or 40 kilometer per hour speed limits. Sunday afternoons, Christmas mornings, July and August, stop it. It's ridiculous. It's not fair. It makes it feel more like a cash grab and a lot less like promoting safety on our roads. The person driving 54 kilometers per hour is not the maniac you're looking for. So please stop it. Change the speed camera program, okay? People are getting fired up about it, and I don't blame them one bit. We'll share those emails as this week goes along. I'm sure that you have felt wronged at times as well. Something else I wanted to mention. I've kind of mentioned it in passing, but wanted to give it just a little bit more treatment here. And that is Scotland's Yard, which I was able to attend on the weekend, the ball hockey tournament in support of the Waterloo Regional Health Network. Just credit to the organizers, Jacqueline and Ben Sherratt, first and foremost. Even though Ben played for the Guelph Storm, I can get past all of that. This really is a terrific event. And when I was there, the energy, the kids that get involved and get excited about playing hockey, being around those pro players, and of course, the money that gets raised. I mean, $1 million now over the 4 years of the tournament for our Waterloo Regional Health Network. This was born out of the idea that families with children who are dealing with cancer should not have to travel out of community in order to get to the treatment that they need. This effort, the Scotland's Yard annual ball hockey tournament, is endeavoring to raise the money so that we can get that care closer to home. $1 million raised already. Kudos to everyone involved on the weekend. It was a fantastic event. You should give yourself a pat on the back if you've gotten up from your rest, because I'm sure it took a lot to put that tournament on this weekend. But way to go. Keep it up. And I just love seeing the kids so excited being out there. He's found his way into the studio. Our good friend David Drewe, owner, Negotiating Change, Government Relations, Stakeholder Engagement Strategies. How are you?
Stupid farm vehicles.
No. Don't you start stupid farm vehicles with me. I'm glad they slowed you down because that means you obeyed. Like, they got to do their work, David.
Oh, no, I was very, very respectful of the farm vehicles.
Good.
However,
yes,
once I got around them, I was trying to make up time. I left with what I thought was a fair amount of time, and just every turn I took to avoid a farm vehicle led me behind another.
You know what? Your credit is so good with me. In all of our time together, this might be the first time you've been
Actually,
late.
I've missed, there was the one time you met me at the door.
Yes.
And you credited me. You said I was a real journalist at that point for just walking in cold.
All right, let's dive in if you're feeling ready to do so. And thank you to our hardworking farmers. Remember, be like David. If you encounter a farm vehicle, drive appropriately. Let's talk about, a buddy of mine actually brought this up because he did not know that David Eby is a graduate of my former and many people's former high school here in Kitchener, St. Jerome's. But the premier... And UW, the premier of British Columbia. Gosh darn it. What's he up to these days?
Well, he is sounding anti-pipeline. It sounds like he's offside from all of the other premiers. But he has this argument saying there's not enough going through the pipeline going out west already. Therefore, we don't need another one going to the north part of BC. Unexpected ally? National Defense. They are looking, as part of the defense buildup, at that northern BC area. One of the reasons they love it is very little traffic. So a pipeline going there would all of a sudden increase traffic greatly. It kind of made me some weird triangulation where nation building allows them to turn down a pipeline.
Because that additional traffic would create a greater security risk.
Or a disincentive for the military to locate there. And the military... And then you got Danielle Smith, who wants the pipeline, but if she gets one to Tidewater at the Arctic, she'll be happy. If she gets a corridor going out east, she'll be happy. You know, she doesn't have to get everything. So David Eby on this one might be able to walk away without being the fighter.
That's the good education from St. Jerome's and the University of Waterloo. Okay, I can't wait to hear this because I will be among those referring to Mark Carney as a progressive, conservative prime minister. You call BS on that. How would you do that? How can you make that claim?
Okay, I can see the C in the PC.
Oh, you don't see the P?
Yeah, tell me why he's a progressive conservative as opposed to just a straight ahead conservative.
Okay, you got me there because I have been wondering because if we were to look at the previous prime minister as progressive, I see none of those progressive traits in Mark Carney.
Well, I'm also just looking, what's the difference between Mark Carney and Stephen Harper?
Right.
No, but what is it that makes Stephen Harper the Antichrist conservative and Mark Carney one of those nice, progressive conservatives?
I'll tell you what this is. You know what this is? This is the Ontario, the Upper Canada media taking control of the narrative here because we call them progressive conservatives here in Ontario, right?
Oh, but it's this woeful back to the good old days when conservatives were nice, even though these people who are going back to those days hated conservatives just back then just as much as they do now. It's this, why can't they be nice conservatives like the old days? I'm sorry, what's the difference again between Mark Carney and Stephen Harper? The cuts? Well, we'll see about that in a little while because judging by what Mark Carney's asking of his cabinet ministers, Stephen Harper did nothing like this. Aboriginal consultation? You know, it's not like Mark Carney started off on the right foot. By the way, I missed your segment this morning. I'm going to have to catch up.
Oh, that's okay. The chief of the Assembly of First Nations was a no-show.
Oh. Well,
I was so excited to talk to her.
That's the ultimate late.
Yes, you were late. She was non-existent today. So,
okay.
Yeah, so you have little to catch up on, although we did get a couple of interesting calls about it. And one of the suggestions was the First Nation building project should be clean water to reserves.
Well, yes, that's a very nice thing for us colonials to say. I'd like to hear from the First Nations as to what the nation building things are, as opposed to us coming in with another.
That's why I was so excited to hear from the chief today. But nonetheless, to your point, I'm glad you brought.
But I said a couple of weeks ago that Mark Carney, was going to learn about how you have to be slower as a prime minister. And, last week's meeting with First Nations was a perfect example of he moved very, very quickly at the beginning. But did he save time? Like, is this going to be bogged down now because we are trying to get? Because, I'm not going to say that, First Nations, I don't want to paint them all with one broad brush, but generally, they're not in a hurry. And by starting off the way we did, they already feel like they're being rushed. So a lot of them were already boycotting the meeting because they felt if they showed up, that could be construed as sufficient consultation. Because consultation hasn't really been defined. So again, what is the difference?
I'm glad you brought up the point you did about Mark Carney.
Oh, carbon tax?
Progressive conservative.
Is the carbon tax the difference? Oh, wait, no.
Because I had a conversation with a buddy just the last couple of days, and I related to him a conversation I had with somebody within the federal Conservative Party. And I said, shockingly, they didn't have horns and a forked tail, because that is the general impression that we've been given for a long time. Conservative equals scary. Mm-hmm. And okay, you know what? I might join you in that call of shenanigans on the progressive part of progressive conservative.
And I'm willing, I believe on trans issues, Mark Carney would be considerably more progressive than Stephen Harper. However, like Stephen Harper, he'd rather just not talk about it. So, take it as you will.
David Drewe is here with Drew's Views every Monday morning at 11:30, and we continue the conversation on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Monday mornings, 11:30 is Drew's Views time with David Drewe, former Conservative Party staffer, by the way, and also does not have horns and a forked tail, just in case you were curious. David is the owner of Negotiating Change, government relations, stakeholder engagement strategies. It would be almost impossible to talk about politics in this country, David, if we didn't invoke the name Donald Trump and the fly in the ointment that he is of late.
He's the fly in the ointment.
The monkey in the wrench?
The monkey in the ointment? Like, it's just sort of like a fly in the ointment. You just sort of pick it out and flick away. But this is like, no, this is...
The elephant in the room?
The elephant in the fridge.
There you go.
Footprints in the butter, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't know what's going on with trade. But I'm seeing this entire dialogue about the deadlines being missed. And yeah, Mark Carney did throw these deadlines towards us in most of the cases. And yeah, they were self-imposed, but the fact that they haven't been met doesn't really mean anything to me. I just keep thinking Donald Trump, just on the Epstein files alone, has other things on his mind that are higher on the agenda than Canada. So the fact that we have not closed the deals yet, I don't know that it's a judgment on Mark Carney in any way at all. I'm sure we could capitulate on everything and get a deal quickly. But, when you hear that both sides feel like they are moving towards progress, but we don't get there on the schedule we were expecting, okay, I can't blame Mark Carney for that. But where I do worry for him is sooner or later we are going to move past Trump. And I'm sorry, was it Gregor Robertson is the mayor of housing, or the minister of housing, former mayor of Vancouver?
Correct.
And we haven't heard dime one from him since the election, and housing is still a huge issue. Affordability is still a huge issue. And I can understand that, yes, Trump is the urgent thing right now. But sooner or later, Trump is not going to be in the foreground, and all of a sudden, and rightly or wrongly, the public is going to sit there and say, well, you've had a year and a half. What have you done on housing? What have you done on affordability? And yeah, you've been busy chasing the Trump thing and dealing with it. But how much credit did Winston Churchill get for winning World War II? No, but that's really where it is, because all of these pre-existing things that were the hugest issue before, the "you're fired" guy got reelected. All these issues are still real, and they're still going to be there. So I really hope that they're walking and chewing gum at the same time, and they can actually walk the two tracks of domestic progress and Trump progress. Because, like I say, I'm very, very willing to forgive him on the Trump stuff, because how do you deal with that? But housing, you can still move forward on stuff like that. Affordability, you can still pay attention to that. And if I don't feel like you are paying attention to that, then I might get mad.
The "you're fired" guy. I like that way of referring to the president of the United States. Okay, he is no longer, and I don't know that he was fired, but he left his position at the CBC.
Well, apparently they rejected his resignation.
Wait, so he's still an employee of the... So we're still paying him?
We don't know if he's getting paid or not.
All right. Travis Danraj, who had been with Global, went back to CBC, where he had been earlier in his career, resigned from the CBC, and posted a letter publicly, essentially talking about the systemic issues within the Mother Corp.
Yes, and then his lawyer, Catherine Marshall, also has been doing some posting, and she's been a little bit more feisty, shall we say. So to break it down at oversimplifying it, please check your facts on this. But oversimplifying, he says a couple things. One is that voices of diverse opinion have a hard time getting on the CBC, and that they are looking for certain types. So if you are a person in a wheelchair, they want you to have a certain political view. And if you are, say, a conservative in a wheelchair, you're not going to get on there. That was number one. But what I found most interesting was he apparently, and I'd never really heard of him, to be honest. I've never watched his show. But apparently he had a political show on CBC.
Which I was surprised, because I knew Travis a little bit, that he even went to the CBC or back to the CBC from where he had been, which was with Global. And Travis had clearly self-identified as having a right of center slant. There's nothing wrong with that. But then I thought, why are you, of all people, going back to the CBC?
You're taking it in two different directions than I was. Let me finish with mine, because it wasn't that he wasn't allowed to have conservatives on. That's a separate thing. It was like he could get and was having conservative members of parliament on. At the same time as I am listening to Rosie Barton and David Common saying that conservatives will not appear on the CBC. He didn't have problems booking them. But then when they were refusing to appear on Rosie Barton's show or on Power and Politics with David Cochran, that was when apparently he was told he couldn't book them anymore. Unless they were willing to appear on these other shows, he could not book them. But you remember Rosie Barton was one of the ones who actually sued the Conservative Party of Canada a couple elections back?
Now I do.
And I don't know what the specific issues with the other host, but Conservatives do not trust those two journalists. I don't know specifically why on both, but I can see a bit of it in the Rosie case, a bit of it. I still don't think it's a legitimate worry that she is biased, but I could sort of see why they might worry about it. But regardless, they were okay with the CBC when it wasn't those two hosts. And those two hosts were making it sound like Conservatives were boycotting the CBC. So then he couldn't book them anymore. So now, yeah, there were no Conservatives on CBC. Like, that to me is the troubling part of it. It's not that he wasn't allowed to book because they were Conservatives. It's that he wasn't allowed to book because he was low man on the totem pole, and the two white people out of Ottawa wanted to tell him what the content should be. Like, that to me is the weird, crazy part of that story. Like, you had the bias going on, allegedly, but then you had the living proof that the CBC could book Conservatives on without an issue. But the two bigwigs were like, no, we can't have that unless we get ours.
I find it interesting that these things are playing out as publicly as they are, but clearly that's the way Travis Danraj wanted it to be, and we got to go. Thanks for being here.
Such as I was.
Yeah, when you showed up, it was fun to have you by the time you got here.
Breezing in like king of the hill.
David Drewe, Drew's Views, Monday mornings 11:30 here on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. You know, this show is exhausting. What was I... Oh, yeah, last week I wasn't doing anything. That's why it's so exhausting to be here. But I love it, every bit of it. So, who's ready to rant or rave? Because the open line hour rant or rave is coming up right after this update from the 570 News Center here on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage outside, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
On Mondays, our Talkback Hour is your chance to rant or rave. You can rant because you're upset about something. Get it off your chest and onto the air. Or rave because you got a smile on your face this sunny Monday afternoon. 519-570-2545. Star 570, 1-800-570-5715. Let's start with Dave. Good afternoon, Dave.
Afternoon, Mike. 3 very quick shout-outs.
Okay, real quick before you do. This is Dave, listener number 47, right?
Right.
All right. I got you, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Number 1, your fill-in while you're away. Number 2, and I hope I don't jinx them, the Blue Jays endgame home winning streak. But now they're going against the dreaded Yankees again. And number 3, Connors at the Open, terrific job. And well done. And have a great afternoon, Mike.
Thank you, Dave. You too. Terrific shout-outs right there. Listowel boy, Corey Connors, a great showing at the Open on the weekend. I agree with you. Let's not jinx those Blue Jays, but holy Hannah, a 10-game home winning streak, a 3-game lead on the Yankees as the Yankees come to town to open a series tonight. And yes, Brock Greenhalgh, heck of a guy, that Brock. And I'm glad that you enjoyed having him here through the week. I just want to remind you of what happened. Like, I did get the supply teacher's report, okay? So I know what went on when I wasn't here. Oh, why is my computer being slow now? Why? Now it's going to start randomly at some point. I got the blue wheel spinning. At some point, we're going to be interrupted by the audio of what was shared with me from the supply teacher. We'll just let the computer figure out its own stuff right now. But I'm glad that you enjoyed your time with Brock. I was able to identify Dave, by the way, as listener number 47, because I shared the story with you at the beginning of the show today that while I was away, I met on the weekend at the Scotland's Yard ball hockey tournament, Andrew, who came right up to me, told me how much he loves the show, which I'm so appreciative of. And then I knew he wasn't pulling my leg because he said, I want to be listener number 46. Because I was bragging before I went away that we were up to 45 listeners on the show. It's an arbitrary number. I started somewhere in the 30s, and, you know, every now and again we get a new one. And anyway, I was so happy we were at 45. Andrew says he wants to be 46. And so I thought we really should have the definitive Farwell Show listeners list. And so we've been filling up the 46 names, although Dave insisted on being number 47. Which is fine. There are still a few spots in the original 47 left if you'd like to claim one, because I know many of you have been here for quite some time. We appreciate you, every one of you. Back to the phones we go. Speaking of people that have been here for a while, toll-free Jay. Good afternoon.
listener number 812.
You can have number 21. How's that?
Well, exactly.
Okay.
Now, a question for you. I really don't know how they determine where they play the All-Star game anymore. Like it used to be for the World Series, like if the National League won, it'd be like, how do they determine that now? They haven't been able to do since 2018.
Sorry, what are you trying to determine?
Where they play the All-Star, like the All-Star game.
I have no idea how they determine where they play the All-Star game.
Since 2018, they stopped doing it. I was just hoping I could find out from you.
I'll see if I can find out for you. How's that?
I would really appreciate that.
Okay, Jay. I appreciate your call today. I will be your Dr. Google. Mark, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike, and welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Give me a number, Mike.
How would you like number 24, Mark?
Do you have number 9?
No. 24. No. I've got the first 23. I've got 39. You want 39?
Doesn't matter. I'm on your list.
Well, where do you want to be? I have to
decide. Give me 39.
Give you 39. Okay, Mark is now 39. Thanks, buddy.
Okay, I was listening. Oh, actually, I think you were talking about conservative Charlie calling in last week.
That's exactly what I was talking about. But for some reason, I'm going to try restarting this program on my computer and see if it works. Because, yes, that's exactly who I was talking about.
I knew it. It made me laugh. But anyway, Mike, I was listening to music today again at 11 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, This Week in Music History? Yeah.
That he put out a fabulous album, Mike. I forget the name of the album, but so many hits on it. And he reminds me, he looks like Frank Zappa.
Okay, I can see it.
You agree?
It. Sure, a little bit of Frank Zappa there in Jim Croce, sure.
So I don't have that album, but I wish I did. But it's a fabulous album, Mike.
Indeed it is.
Mike, I'm losing you.
Okay, Mark, I think I'm losing you. I was waiting for the next bit there, but maybe I waited too long and you felt like we were cutting out on one another. This Week in Music History, every Monday morning at 11 with our good friend and musicologist, Brian Allison. We have lots of fun with a trip down a musical memory lane, and Jim Croce's Bad, Bad Leroy Brown featured on the segment today. If you've missed it in the past, catch it every Monday morning at 11 here on the Mike Farwell Show as Rant or Rave continues on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Radio.
I think my computer is now awake again. It's not like I haven't been using it all day. And just so you know, I heard through the report from the supply teacher what happened while I was away last week.
You can say it. Yeah, I'm not going to put you in jackwagon jail.
Fans, they like the because they are the So, Brock, if Mike is listening, have a toast to the I think you'll feel better, Mike.
I don't know how Brock allowed that. I hope he enjoyed his last time filling in, but you will not get away with that on my watch, okay? Not on my ear. As you can hear, I had to carefully edit what Charlie had to say when he phoned while I was away. Thank you, Brock, for filing such a great report. Do not allow such language to be used on the show, please. We keep a very high standard here on the Mike Farwell Show program. Back to Rant or Rave. Doug, good afternoon.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
This is listener number 14, Doug. I'm good. How are you? Good man.
I have a rant and also a maximum security prisoner for your jackwagon jail.
Put him in.
Like you familiar with the McGarry West Heights area?
I certainly am.
So I turn on to McGarry's from my street, about 3 blocks to West Heights, and for 0.2 of a kilometer, it drops down to 30 kilometers an hour from 40, and then back up to 40 for another half a kilometer. I turn left onto West Heights, and I get halfway up the street, and this guy goes flying by me on my right-hand side. Unfortunately, the camera there was removed about a month and a half ago, but it would have been nice to see his ticket. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Really appreciate it. McGarry is one of those streets I always remember from being a kid. It was so rare because it was a 40, one of the very few in town before we got speed limit reduction happy in this region. But McGarry was always one of those anomalies at 40 kilometers an hour. And yes, then you get onto West Heights. It could be a 30. They've changed some things, but we don't. The person that Doug is talking about is the speeder that you're trying to catch, as is the gentleman that I put in jackwagon jail earlier today, who is the guy that passed me in the parking lot at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. I was going between speed bumps, and he cut into the open area, kind of between the parking area and the arena itself. There's just an asphalt area there for staging, loading stuff, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, and he zipped around through there and came out on the other side of that area. It's kind of like a cut-in, whatever you'd call it. Anyway, and he blew right past me in the parking lot. Who does that and why? Oh, jackwagons. So that's 2 people today in jackwagon jail. I just got back from a week's vacation, and we're filling up the jail cells at jackwagon jail. Kyle, you're on Rant or Rave. Good afternoon.
Do I get to pick a number like I pick my jersey number in hockey every year?
I already put you in at number 6 because you even had your own song at one point. But if you'd like to change that number, you can.
You know, I'll keep it because my number was actually 9, so I'll take 6.
Okay. I put you in as one of the, like, you're part of the original cast pretty much on this show.
Oh, wow. Geez, I feel honored now.
So that's why you're up so high.
I'm just laughing because, you know, all these people, you know, you guys talking about the jackwagon tree and stuff. I wonder what the chances are that somebody's going to call in and they're going to be complaining about the other person that just called in about how their driving was. Could you imagine?
You mean the person that we just put in jackwagon jail calls in? Yeah, of course.
Could you imagine? Like, they just call in. But my rave is to Brock. I think he did a fantastic job filling in for you. It's not the same without you, though, Mike. It's nice to have you back. And also, I just want to say a huge rave to Jen, who answers the phones. I know sometimes I think I drive her crazy with all my crazy songs that I always ask to be played on like a Friday or whatever, and hats off to her because I think it drives her nuts. So I just want to say that to all you guys, big rave to everybody. And Mike, again, welcome back, my friend. Thanks a lot there, Mike.
Thanks, Kyle. I see how Jen gets credit for being driven crazy by the songs, but I don't get any. Like, I have to hear them too. The ridiculous songs you request on All Request Fridays. But no, let's just give credit to Jen. That's fine. Be that way. Dallas, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do I rank a number?
Would you like number 30, my friend?
What's that?
Would you like number 30?
Sure, that'll work.
You got it. You are part of the original cast at number 30. Thank you, sir.
Fair enough. I called in 3 times last week, and Mr. Brock, he did a fine job, I got to say. I had the opportunities to call in 3 times last week, and I don't always have it. But anyways, as far as the jackwagon jail and your buddy that went around the speed bumps, well, you know what? It seems to me that every time somebody gets in a parking lot or something to that effect, all the rules of the road go out the window. And every one of them should be put in your jackwagon jail.
All right, Dallas, thanks very much for the call. Remember your listener number, you're 30, and I'm glad to hear more support for Brock. Just don't forget that this happened.
You can say it. Yeah, I'm not going to put you in jackwagon jail.
Fans, they like the because they are the So, Brock, if Mike is listening, have a toast to the I think you'll feel better, Mike.
Now, Brock, you did a good job, except for that 14 seconds. Rant or Rave continues on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. On Mondays, the Talkback Hour is for your rants and or raves. Right back to the phones. Lee, good afternoon.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Good.
So I'm calling about the extended day program that's going on at Waterloo Region. sister school board right now. We have used that, like my family's used that program for years now. And so it's for people that don't know, it's the before and after school care at the schools. The government mandated that every school in Ontario should have that. And so this year I signed up. They give you a date. They say, like, your date to sign up is this particular date. So I signed on that morning, signed up. And then there was some issues with the schedule. They took away the ability to schedule any times that you would not need the program when you sign up. So I called the program administrators, and when I called them, they said that, oh, you're not even in it. You're on the wait list. And so I never got any indication of that when I signed up, but I was pretty shocked because I said, like, my kids have been in this for years. Like, all of my kids. I have 4 kids. And they were like, nope, you're in for afternoons, but none of the mornings are available. There's a lot of new people at your school, and you didn't get a spot. And I said, like, how's that possible? Like, what? We didn't say that we were coming out of the program. They're like, well, no, it's first come, first serve.
Well, yeah, because they mentioned that the registration doesn't carry over from one year to the next, right?
Yeah.
So you have to basically re-register.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was no indication that it'd become like a competitive sort of a sign-up thing. I literally signed up within like a couple hours of the website opening up the portal. And I live in Ayr, so it's a small community. News kind of travels fast, and it sounds like there's about almost 15 families that are in the same boat as us. And since that's happened, like, everybody's kind of contacted the board and just got the same sort of cookie cutter answers of like, well, you know, there's just nothing available. We'll let you know if something changes. I think 2 or 3 families have had to switch to the Catholic board now. We put it into our kids into private because we can't afford to, you know, not have our kids go to school or us not go to work. It's just not obviously there's no family that can make that decision. And some people have actually just they don't know what to do, so they're putting in a leave at their work, which to me seems kind of ridiculous. I've talked to the board a couple of times and just got nowhere with them. They said, well, we're adjusting the level of care at the school based on the needs. And I said, like, you obviously like haven't properly estimated the needs of the school. If like 15 families in a school of 150, there's about 150 kids that go to Ayr Public. So I would assume that's literally more than 10% of the total people that attend there. And just no interest whatsoever in helping, and definitely not going to make a change. And I just don't understand how, like, this combined with a lot of the other issues that we're dealing with at WRDSB is able to continue. Because, like, I can't say that I've ever been more disappointed in a level of government than I am with the WRDSB and what my kids deal with on a day-to-day basis in that school. It's like, functionally, there is just no supports for the kids in class. We've had our kindergarten teachers reach out to us multiple times saying, like, hey, if you can contact the board, any voices that can help, like, get this class under control would be appreciated. Like, there's so many special needs students in this class. They don't put any extra resources in, and they just keep putting these students into the general stream.
Okay,
our
Lee,
voices as teachers.
I'm so sorry. I've got to get to the news update. I'm over time now. Do you want to hang on? Can you?
Sure.
Okay, just hang on for me. Thank you. I appreciate you bringing this forward. The clock is my boss here, and we got to get to the news center for an update. Rant or Rave continues on the Mike Farwell Show. All right, we had to interrupt Lee earlier to get to that update from the 570 News Center, and our phone lines are jammed right up too. We got to give some others a chance to chat. But Lee, you were talking about concerns around the extended day program at our public school board and other issues that your children have had within the board itself. What can we do to fix this?
So I guess in the effort of brevity, the gist of it is that the school board does not have the resources even to support the community at a basic level. It's not like I'm saying, like, I want like a specialized teacher for my kid dedicated 100% of the time. I just want the normal program that everybody gets. And same with the other families. Like, we can't afford to not go to work. I can't afford to have like my wife support the family or vice versa. That's ridiculous in today's times. And just the casual nature that the board is just like, well, sorry, we did everything we could, and we're just going to cancel you out of the program. Like, it's not fair and it's not reasonable. And I think that, like, This combined, the one thing I wanted to add was I read an article recently talking about the level of staff at some of Ontario's major boards, and specifically WRDSB, TSB, and Peel Region were called out for having staff that was like sometimes less than 10 students per staff at the board office, like not even teaching staff, just like back-end people. We have a bureaucracy problem and a government management problem, and I think like the boards and the trustee models just don't work anymore. I'm really supportive of the government just taking over the boards, because like the stuff that the board focuses their time on, like not being able to have Halloween, not being able to have a Christmas party, versus like, why don't you focus on just like getting curriculums better so that student achievement goes back up? Because like the outcomes of students is also really, really down from what it was historically. And we also know that the testing and the ability for kids to pass has been really, really sort of laxened.
Okay.
Or made easier. So all around just not working.
Okay. Lee, appreciate it. I'm glad you brought this forward. Lots of there, and certainly worth pursuing, especially around the extended day program. And yes, we know this provincial government is very interested in a quote-unquote back to basics approach with curriculum, and is intervening where necessary in the boards of trustees themselves. Ron, over to you on Rant or Rave. Good afternoon.
Hey, Mike, it's glad to have you back on the radio. It's nice to hear your voice again.
Thank you.
And also, Brock was amazing. Also, did you give me a number or no, not yet?
Were you Ron that emailed? I'm so far behind on everything, so sorry I have not. How would you like number 32, my friend?
32 sounds great.
Okay, Ron is 32. Remember your number.
I will do. And just a tidbit of information. I was going to say, damn, I forgot it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to the Jays game, so let's go. Let's hope Jays can do it.
I hope they can for you, my friend.
Yep, later then.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate that. Great to hear from you today. Norma, rant or rave to you. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. I emailed, but I thought I'd call in person and just say welcome back. You were sorely missed. And have you given me number 31?
I have you down as number 31.
Yay.
Don't forget your number.
It's my birthday. I won't forget it.
Okay. Thanks, Norma. I appreciate it. Listen, there is no prerequisite when you call today. It's rant or rave, okay? You don't have to flatter me or tell me how much you missed me. I mean, it's sure good for my ego, but it's absolutely not necessary. I love you for it, though, because truth is, I missed you. Like, I enjoy these conversations every day. I really do. Next to Mary. Good afternoon, Mary.
Good afternoon and welcome back.
Thank you.
On a most gorgeous, gorgeous day.
20 minutes, I'm out of here. I'm going to go enjoy it.
Yeah. Anyway, now Brock swore on the first day that he wouldn't steal any of your pens. Did he?
Oh, I had to refill my entire pen container.
Well, he said he wouldn't do that.
No, he didn't. He didn't take a single one of my pens, Mary. Everything is intact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you join up with Brian Burke's 7-iron deal out there?
No, I'm not golfing ever again. Never.
No, this is easy.
No, that's what they said when they took me out to a par 3 pitching putt.
No, but you can only use a 7-iron.
But, Mary, you still have to hit...
no thinking.
No, Mary, you still have to hit the ball. You still have to hit the ball.
Brock and his group are duffers.
Yeah, well...
Go out and have some fun.
Ain't nobody seen a duffer like me. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, well, I've been hearing on, and it's getting on my mind, getting on my goat, more and more about how many people, and it's on the news at least once a week, maybe twice, about all the people on these scooters that don't wear helmets, that are supposed to, and get into a merge with head injuries, which is taking up our emerge time. I say get the police out there and ticket the little...
We're never going to catch them all.
I don't care. You can try. Come on. Give them a ticket.
Okay.
Just like they give you on the red thing. Whatever.
Mary, I put you down as listener number 1. We've agreed to that, right?
No. And you know what? I appreciate that. And I was just wondering... Do you think when I think I'm going to die, I could sell it?
Stop that. Don't
First place, do you think?
perish the thought, Mary. You're number one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's funny that Mary brings that up because on my way to work this morning, and you know I come in pretty early, it's dim. It's not fully light anymore because it's, mid-July, late July. But young fella on a scooter, Ira Needles Boulevard, no helmet, but his ball cap was on backwards, so I'm sure that protected him. And to top it off, on his phone, on the scooter, on the side of a fast-moving road, perfectly safe, right? That is waiting for an accident. Donna, rant or rave?
You are going to laugh.
Okay.
With being number 2.
Donna, listener number 2.
Glad
yes.
to follow Mary, who's in the one spot.
I love it.
And every time I see you now, I'm going to do the peace sign.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, I want to thank so I'm going to rant. I want to thank and this is serious. I want to rant and thank our region and our taxpayers. For 45 years this September, I've worked at Kuntz Electroplating on Wilson Avenue. The region is moments away from opening the Bleams extension up to Wilson. I think I've been waiting 45 years, but this morning as I was driving in, I think there's like a dump truck sitting there. But other than that, we're ready to go. So I think one day this week, I'm going to be flying up that, which I'm calling the Donna Debo Parkway, and I'll be to work at record time.
Thanks, number 2. Appreciate it, Donna. The Bleams Road extension is open. And if Donna's going to flash the peace sign to me next time she sees me because she's number 2, I hope Mary doesn't flash any fingers at me because she's number 1. You know what I'm saying? Rant or Rave continues on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. On Mondays for Talkback, we rant or rave. Let's get right back to the phones. Afif, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. Welcome back. I'm number, 34?
You can be number 33 if you like.
Sure, 33 works.
Okay, 33 is you, my friend.
So, first of all, I'm upset that basically you won't be able to say, Action Jackson Parsons.
Well, he's going to be an Ottawa senator, and maybe somebody else will get the chance to say it.
Exactly, but I mean, that was so fun. But I'm also hoping that hockey comes back very soon. It's awesome to listen to that.
Slow down, Afif. I want to enjoy the rest of the summer first, okay?
I guess so.
I'm looking forward to it, too. I really am.
And I'm hoping Blue Jays win against the Yankees this series.
Absolutely. Beat up those bums. Yeah.
And that's it. Have a good day, man.
Okay. Afif, thanks. You too. The Blue Jays are becoming a thing, eh? Everybody's excited about them. Greg, good afternoon. You're on Rant or Rave.
Hey, Mike, is number 11 open?
No, it's not. We are up to number 34 if you would like to claim that. Or you can have 36, 37, or 38.
All right, 34. What the heck?
34. Why did you want number 11?
Gilbert Perreault.
Oh.
Sabre.
Gilbert Perreault.
That's what got me on the Sabres bandwagon, and good times and, lots of bad. Stayed on the bandwagon, not jumping. So anyways, but all right, if somebody more important has 11, whatever.
Why don't you take 38? The 3 and 8 add up to 11.
Sure.
Okay. You're now 38, but you have to remember your number.
Oh, I like math, so I'm good there. Okay.
Okay.
All right, that's good there.
I've only got 3 spots left. We're going to fill up 47 listeners today. I can't believe this.
You're just getting too popular.
I don't think so.
I don't know, but speaking of popular, like Rock last week, I got a rave about that because it ended with me and him. We're going to that golf tournament. It's going to be a complete circus. Neither one of us know what we're doing, and I got to find a fourth still. And so
I will not be your fourth. I'm not doing it. Sorry.
I know. I heard you.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard your attitude, but maybe you should come out and watch.
Maybe.
So, okay. All right. So there's the rave. Now this one. How about a sarcastic rant? No, a sarcastic rave. Let's go. Have you been on Lobsinger Line since they took those 40s down?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Did you take a close look at the order of what signs are left?
50, 60, 80, 60.
No. Basically, okay. Well, you start with Heidelberg, head towards the market. First, it's an 80, and then it goes, okay, safety zone, community safety zone 60. Okay, fine. A few feet later, another community zone, like as if you didn't read the first one. There's a second one for some reason just saying it's a safety zone. Okay, and then eventually, all of a sudden it says, oh, now you can go 80 again, but after the 80, then the community zone ends.
Oh my gosh!
Figure that one out.
No, Greg, you know what? Good sarcasm. Good use of sarcasm there, because I can't with all the signs everywhere, a sign, blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind. I should have gotten the sign business. That's all I know for sure. And I love radio. I should have gotten into signs. I'd be retired by now. Francis, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. I have a special number. I know there's a spot for it, and I have a great rave for all the fun people from Nova Scotia. I was listening to the gentleman on there. Or I should say Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, understand? Yes.
I lived a couple of years at Anacultus, and there was a few newbies there. You know, that was the best time I have had all my life living with other different people. They were so crazy, we even got kicked off of King Street at Victoria one day. We decided to get out, walk around the car, and look up at the skies, and everybody was stopping their vehicles, looking up in the sky, and there was really nothing there. And we went to drive away, and a cop pulled us over. He thought we were drunk. And he talked to us. He says, "Oh, you bunch of newbies, get home, and don't do this stunt again." And that was my story there. And my number is number 100. I want to be like the people picking grapes.
Francis, do me a favor. Take 34, 36, or 37. I got to fill up the first 47 first.
Well, then I'll have to take 30. 36 is a good number.
36 is a good number, and Francis, it is now yours.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll remember that one.
Please do.
God bless.
And you, my friend, thank you very much. I never, ever would have thought that we'd get all 47 recorded listeners today. We only have 2 spots left on our list. Walter, good afternoon. Rant or rave?
Good afternoon, Mike. I just want to rave on this nice weather. I just got back from up north. I've been up there for a week, and it was roasting hot up there. It was up in Lake Kinesis area, and I got a message from a buddy of mine about these numbers, and I had to call in. Mike, what numbers have you got left? I need one of them.
Okay, you can have 34 or 37.
Well, I feel like I'm 34, so I'll take that one.
Okay, now, Walter, you have to remember your number, okay?
What are you saying, that I'm senile?
No, I just want, because now we can identify listener with listener number. So when I say I've got 47 listeners, I have proof.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I can help you out, Mike.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. It all started with meeting Andrew on the weekend at the Scotland's Yard ball hockey tournament. He came up, he shook my hand, he said he enjoyed the show so much, really appreciated what we do here, and he wanted to be listener number 46. So I thought, well, we better fill in numbers. We knew Mary was number 1. Andrew became 46. We better fill in listeners 2 through 45. Dave called and wanted 47. We got him there. We have 1 spot left. Does somebody want to claim it before we're done for the day? 1 more listener, and we can actually prove to all concerned that we have 47 listeners on this show. We'll see if we can get there. Rant or Rave continues on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Final minutes together today before we turn things over to Rob Snow, and now you know. Back to ranting or raving. Mike, good afternoon.
I guess I'm 37, Mike.
Apparently you are. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, I am. I'd like to comment about the Ontario tuition increase. What I was trying to say before I got cut off was my first year of university in 1981 was $980 in tuition. And when I graduated in 1985, it was $1,600 in tuition. I further went to do a master's degree in the United States, and it was close to $20,000 US. I could afford that then, but I will tell you, Mike, I couldn't afford to get a degree with today's outrageous tuition hikes, and I think there's got to be some trust reestablished after the international student debacle here in the region of Waterloo. I believe, yes, we need to hike the tuition a bit, and yes, we need to increase the funding of it.
All right, Mike, I appreciate where you're coming from. The tough thing is, you say you couldn't afford it today, and yet you support a tuition increase. We're at a crossroads for sure in post-secondary. Ernie, good afternoon.
Hey, Mike. So, you know, I listen when I can and here and there. Like before I was off and I could do it all the time. But the original you know my little story. I was doing it just to bug every once in a while with your black and yellow team, and then I ended up liking your show, right?
Yes, I do remember, and I love it.
So anyways, I gotta push it a bit forward here, get a couple more listeners, because I need to be number 52, because that is the greatest linebacker in the NFL of all time. So
settle down. Like Mean Joe Green played too, you know.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, Mike. Like, instead of me, just calling in to troll you every once in a while, now I'm going to actually get you some more listeners so I can get the number. Look how the tides have turned here. Now I need to get that number 52 spot, you know? So,
as long as you remember the number, I'll put you down at 52.
All right, Mike. Thanks. Have a good one, buddy.
Thanks, Ernie. You too. You too. I'm going to squeeze in one more before we're done today. Mike K. Good afternoon.
Mike, I'm a little annoyed that since I've been listening to, I don't have a rant or rave or anything like that. I'm just calling to bug you. I was a listener of you 15 and a half years ago, before you even had a talk show, Mike.
Settle down.
I believe at this point in time, you should be calling me. I'll take whatever number you want. Still listening, pal. Enjoy the day.
Mike, thank you very much. Mike, because we got to go. Mike K., mark it down. You're number 48. 15 and a half years ago. You and I should really catch up, because I know what I was doing 15 and a half years ago, and it was a far cry from this. But I love every second of it, and I really appreciate you listening and being so loyal to the show and to this station. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 9. Let's do it again, okay? My name is Mike Farwell. Bye for now.